episode of Uncommon Sense, number 22, with Craig Kamanis and our special guest, Jason Braga. Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon, Dean.
We've been having a theme of late, and a common thing that I talk about with all clients and business owners is people and process, and we can distill businesses down if they have issues or need to take advantage of opportunities. Is that it's one of those two elements that's really going to drive the business forward, either better processes and reviewing the processes, or more people, better trained people, or growing people into the business. And so we want to continue that theme today. And Craig's going to introduce Jason, tell us a little bit about Jason, and then jump into why we've got our special guest today.
Awesome. Thank you, Dean. It's a very, very important topic, and I don't get the opportunity often, but I'm going to do a little plug for the Paradigm Network because Jason's one of our practice principals and one of the longest standing firms in the Paradigm community. And recently at our conference, Jason took his peers through the process he puts into the business around attracting graduates, retaining them and keeping them in their business and developing them in their careers. And it was a really great story. And we thought, why not bring that to Uncommon Sense and tell the rest of the world that's listening. So, Jason, thanks for joining us, mate. Maybe we'll just get you to start with just a little bit about you and the business.
Yeah, sure. So, as a financial planner in the year 2000, so what's that, 22 years now? Just steadily grown over that time, and along the journey, we've grown the number of so we are under the Paradigm Network, and I've been there, I think it's 13 years, I hope, now. So now we have, there's about 12, three planners and 9 support staff. We're doing retirement work mainly, holistic financial planning. Dolphin Wise is our trading name, based out of the Brisbane CBD.
Awesome. Now, Jason, the topic and something that you do incredibly well in your business is that, as we said, the ability to attract graduates in to actually come and work in your firm. So maybe if you could take our listeners through the process you use to attract them and actually get them to say, yes, I want to come and work at Dolphin Wise.
Sure. Yes, it all started somehow. I don't remember. I think I got dragged along to one of the uni in Queensland that does, it was the first to do the financial, along to a couple of their events. It might have been meet the students for employers or students. I got a bit of contact with the uni, and they had a good program back in the day where part of the degree for the financial planning and commerce students. So they were keen to find employed people with work experience. So one of our early employees, Bronnie Abraham, who's partner at the firm, she came and worked for me under that program. And I get her and the value she brought to the business sort of opened my eyes to, good financial planning students, commerce or other students in related fields, skill set. They want to be in the industry. They have good capability need. They're intelligent, and so from then on, I've graduated. So coming back to your question, how do we employ them? Universities are a good source direct. A lot of the guys doing courses there want a job, but while they're undergrads, they often feel employers wouldn't be enough because they feel they're not going to be flexible enough because they've got exams they've got to do uni. So I think what we did was we put advertisements on the uni notice boards, flexible around their uni commitments, and we found that's very appealing to the uni students, and we get plenty. You got to be a bit careful about the time of the year. Students are sort of on a cycle when they've got exam sponsors, so it's a matter of understanding when they're looking for work early in the new calendar years. But yeah, try to avoid exam periods. So then when we talk to them, the Well, they need part-time hours that work around their uni commitments. Sometimes we let them, might be in their lunch break, and we move their lunch break around to accommodate that. And that work to go to uni, because a lot of their uni can be done online. So that also to them. Strive is a good business out there. Alistair on this program, is that right? Maybe.
No, we haven't had him yet, but we will.
Okay. Alistair Barr, he runs a graduate recruitment program. He does puts employers in touch with qualified uni graduates, and we have used his service before and found it very good. He does some things as well, so you can understand the types of people you might be employing. I've also existing staff. We ask them to employ they think would be good fits for us, because often younger staff know others. Patients looking for a good job. Yeah, I think ways we've used recruiters before, but I find there's probably better ways of getting graduates. It can be quite expensive, in my experience.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great, Jason. So, the fact that you can get straight to the uni or straight with Striver and then actually get them into your business. But what I love the most is how, you're actually willing to say from the upfront, look, come in now while you're still at uni. We'll give you some flexibility to do your exams or do your study or whatever it might be. And let's face it, I mean, the Bronny story is probably one of the greatest success stories this industry will probably ever see. And if we could replicate people like Bronny, as you said, came in as work experience and now as a director in the business, like that's an incredible trajectory. And I know she did become an advisor and she's very good at it. But I think one of the other things I love that you talk about, Jason, is the fact that you help everyone understand that they don't have to be an advisor if that's not what they want to be. There's other professional services roles that you've got.
We all know that, paraplanning and, that means different things to different firms, but a technical resource role, and that is producing documentation, but it's more than that. It's a lot of strategic value, and we certainly use them. I do for all my research when I the people that go and do all that for me and come back with solutions for our clients. So that role is much of an extrovert, and there are people that aren't so keen in talking to but they're well paid and highly respected roles, senior. So there's certainly that. Compliance, unfortunately, we spend more and more of our time doing so. But again, it's a good career aspiration for a graduate to aspire to. So understand what the pathways may potentially be, and we work. I invest a lot in. So it's time in that we take them into meetings, whether it be people, whether it be with clients. So constantly trying to give them exposure. I think you've got to treat graduates as future professionals. If you treat them as they're not going to stick around, and I have seen many people make that mistake in our industry where they think, I'll treat you in that manner. Graduates need to be respected, and to see their employers invest in their learning and development, so they know. I think if you do that, they will stick around.
And Jason, I think that's really relevant. The fact that other professions, and we were talking about this 2 weeks ago as well, Craig. Other professionals that finish their university degree, they go into companies and they are respected as professionals at that point in time. And often our history, and maybe we all did this when we started. We started in the lowest role in doing admin, even though we had finished our university degrees and I had honours in economics, but I still had to do the paperwork as my first job. Whereas now when you join a more established business, there's actually people that are dedicated in those other roles, such that you can be training as an advisor from a very early stage as a professional. that just graduated from a financial planning degree.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think the customers call it. I mean, we occasionally slip back to calling it an admin role, but customer service practice is a lot of responsibility, and it's an awfully good, often very diverse, broad, and if you're doing transactions in many things you're responsible for on a regular basis, it is a role that needs a person who, and I think that role is undervalued sometimes. Role, it is brilliant for a year or two, and it is a really good platform for their advice to then move into the development of advice via paraplanning and so reviews, and then flowing. And if you do both those roles for a while, you're amazing, I think, when you get there.
Yeah. And how have you gone with, I think one of the other skill sets that you've mastered as well along the way is the idea that university students might want to go and do other things in their career before coming back to you. And so your now business partner, I'm correct that she went overseas and traveled and did a few other things whilst working remotely for you in a paraplanning context, to come back and then be an advisor.
Yeah, I guess that comes back to flexibility, but I had a good staff member at that stage who knew how. She said, well, I'm going to the UK, and her partner had some plans there to do while you're there. And paraplanning is, the ultimate of flexible role. We've got people that do it from home, and I found with Bronnie, she did it for India, and I'd send her the work at 4 p.m. on an afternoon, and it'd be waiting for me the next morning to plan. The time zone actually worked, but yes, it is ability with. I mean, that's just, I guess, a bit of a philosophy of mine. I'm all for providing as much flexibility as it doesn't hurt the business, and if you can, everyone's got live, and if you can get productivity, regardless, and you make people's lives more functional for them, whether they be mothers who need some flexibility or new grads, then people.
Yep, absolutely.
So there was no calls, Jason, at 2 a.m. in the morning going, what did you mean by that strategy, Jason? When she was in the UK?
No, I don't recall, but I probably slept.
I think one of the other things, Dean, I'm interested in asking, because the very pool that Jason is talking about is a similar pool of people that you met with recently through the Divergis Driver event, who are looking at getting in advice. So Dean, just question to you, which we don't often do, but what was their attitude towards advice in that room that day at the beginning of the conversation, and where did it get to by the end of it?
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. So the uni students that I sat with and sort of we presented to and just learnt about where they were at in their degree. It was interesting. Not all of them were studying financial planning. Some of them were studying some other degrees, but the goal of the universities is kind of somewhat a selfish goal, is to direct some of those people that might be doing first year accounting into financial planning, for example. And the interesting thing that I observed is that some still thought that it was investments and investment recommendation, and some had sort of either seen the light through some work experience, or someone's told them about the fact that it's not a lot about investments, and it's about goals and strategies and helping clients make decisions. And I found that interesting, that still the questions around the room at that point in time, there were still investment related questions. And that kind of told me that maybe those people were destined to go into investment management, or it was the opportunity to actually clarify what financial planning is. And so I think that's still an opportunity for us overall, is to continue to educate the university students what financial planning is like once you're an advisor. Sure, there's investments and superannuation, but it's those client conversations. And I think what Jason's doing in terms of bringing in the students into the meeting I think pretty quickly they start to realize that it's not about investments.
Yeah, I think that with our clients as financial planners, in that clients often come to us thinking, but I think the elements of our industry in the past, and perhaps some still, the focus is the investment. Investments is always an important part of financial planning relationships. It's generally the glue to the firm, but yeah, we the relationship is broader than that, and I think the other thing we do is provide a picture of all the clues, estate planning instruments, and with things like Centrelink and accountants and lawyers and a whole bunch of stuff. The investment, insurances is another one. When you see that in a bit of paper, very quickly, clients and also that okay, these people look after my whole situation. They don't portfolio, and I think once they get that, it changes the whole dynamic of what service expectations are and the questions that clients ask, and that flows in, of course, to the understanding what we're really about.
Jason, the one really interesting question I've got on my mind for you is that we know, I didn't think I'd ever be the person that said something like the kids of today, but anyway, let's maybe I'm finally there. They're ambitious, right? And they want to move, and they tend to move quicker and think quicker and do all that kind of thing. How do you keep them steady? Because there's one thing to start at Dolphin Wise tomorrow and then go, Jason, I want to be a planner. Let me have a client meeting tomorrow. Sort of thing. How do you, and obviously I know there's the education piece, but how do you keep them steady and build the experience to get to that point?
Yeah, look, there's always a risk, that's right, that an ambitious person will see it on they are and jump ship. And I guess that's always a risk. I guess the condition is we all want to improve our lot. And I think young people have that ambition. They know where they're at, and they will always want to take the next level. And the quality candidates and employees are the most ambitious, I find, and the most want to do the next new thing or take the extra responsibility, or and so they are the hardest. And I have always had that tension of, gee, I've got to keep growing my business so I can provide for this guy or that guy or girl, without doubt. When I did that presentation, Craig, at the Parajam, Peter, I laid it all that out for the guys when they start. And if you break it into enough steps, they can see their audience. So we break it down. There's the roles which I went through. There's the customer, and then there's advice. But within that, we have client levels. We have silver, gold, have those sort of breakdowns and the complexity of the clients you're dealing with. And so we use that promotional tool that, okay, you're doing well with those clients. We're now going to give you some more of the next, going to give you the platinum ones. So within each level, they're getting slight sort of there. And then I'm always talking to them about, well, next year, this is what I want from you. I want you to conquer, be, we're going to get you to start writing some documents, or, next year I want clients, or next year I want you to start, do your PY year, and we're going to, so I think it's that, breaking it down into many little gradual steps and thinking of their progression and how they're going to move through that until they become senior financial advisors.
Very good.
And what's the time frame, do you think, Jason, from finishing university to sitting in front of a client on your own, like, i.e. finishing your professional year? It's probably a better line in the sand.
That's a great question, and I think everyone's got different views, and I think it depends on a number of things. The first, and people are ready at different times. Some people are technically stuff to know enough to sit in front of clients quicker than others. Skills, and that's the key part too. They've got to have enough sort of soft skills to keep the client happy. that's first part. The second done. I mean, when I started, I arrived in the industry in a head office in sort of technical roles. Excuse me. I was given my what was it called, a proper authority back then? I don't remember, but in clients day one. And that, worked when I was just. But if your practice is doing complex high net worth retirement, I reckon you're going to need to be 26, 27, 28 before you're ready.
Yep.
No matter of the combination of those things, I think it's hard to pride ourselves on high service and quality advice. I find it hard to justify before they're 25. I think it takes, I want developing and learning all the skills and having knowledge rather than so.
Yeah, look, I think that.
But look,
that's pretty accurate. Like the idea of, for all the graduates that might be listening, like you can learn the subject matter very quickly. You can be technically competent. The conversations that you need to have, like I like this idea that you just have to build up some stories, like stories on how to explain concepts to clients, stories on how to explain market volatility or economics or insurance claims. Like you can only build up those stories, I think, when you've been in enough meetings and had enough interactions with clients such that you become confident with that narrative.
Yeah.
My first narrative was telling people post the GFC in 2008 that investments have gone to zero and they won't recover. Like that was my first exposure to talking to clients, essentially. And you learn the stories. Not that you want the markets to fall to practice that, but it's just an example that you need to have some experiences before you can work it out to explain it to a client.
Yeah, people are paying for advice, so you need wisdom to provide advice.
Yes,
and wisdom comes from experience. I think the PYE concept is brilliant, and while the technical side are all very good, but I think using that sit in on lots of appointments with an advisor, that is the value. And training role too. Go into the initial appointments. I mean, the initial appointments you learn more than any other appointment because your stuff's talked about, thought about. And, so having a paraplanner in there, it's paraplanner can write all the notes and get it firsthand. But as well. So I think career roles without actually being the authorised rep who signs off the practice. There's serious technical work and good jobs that sit behind until someone's ready to actually be the front person.
Yeah, that's a really good conversation, Jason, and thank you for sharing all of that info with us. I think if I summarize the important bits that I heard from Jason today, I think number one is when you're actually advertising to attract quality people in, you need to tell them a little bit about the conditions you're going to give them from the beginning so that they understand they can come into the firm. They do know that there's going to be some flexibility for uni exams and all of that type of stuff. Number two is certainly showing them the pathway once they start in the firm. I think Jason really nicely articulated there that across the pathway, you have this time doing this and this time doing this and this time doing that. Makes it really clear for them so they understand whereabouts on the journey they're going to be and how they're going to get there. And I think that's also really important. But I also like the bit about, get them involved in client meetings and let them be part of it. Because I know sometimes the professional services staff who aren't in those meetings are going, I just want to be in a meeting. I just want to be in a meeting. So to be able to get that experience, and I think you're right, Jason, the first meeting is an incredible first experience for anybody, to really understand what it is we really do. So really, Dean, I've just summarized a long time, but it's really about clarity and focus for the people that are going to join your business. And then you get tenure and reward, and you build a wonderful team around you like Jason's done at Dolphin Wise.
Yep. Very good.
So
Thank you, Jason, for dropping in this week on Uncommon Sense. I appreciate your insights. And thanks, Craig, of course. You're an excellent co-host. And we'll see you all next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.